one of these, question number 1, it says, given the graph of the function f of x equals x squared minus x minus 12, it asks you to list the vertex, and this is an example of the strategies performance exam, and I want to show you how a way to list all this information out. And the first thing you got to understand is that there's several ways to find the vertex of a parabola. Okay, when you find the vertex of a parabola, the first thing that you got to understand is what form the equation is in. So, one of the things that you really like is that you is dependent on the form. So if you have an equation, that's in the standard form of a quadratic, like this one is, your vertex is negative x equals negative b over 2a. So if you have ax squared plus bx plus c equals, okay, so when you were writing to find the vertex of a parabola, you might write something like that. To find the vertex of a parabola, if an equation is in standard form, you use the formula x equals negative b over 2a. So the first thing you got to be able to do is you got to be able to list out what a, b, and c are. So like, see, I might write something like this to find the x value. So if x equals negative b over 2a, that's a formula I have to know. I have to know this is a formula for finding the x value of the vertex. If the equation, okay, to find the vertex of a parabola, if this equation, instead of this form, if it had been in y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, and that's the difference. The strategies exam, the question that I might ask you tomorrow might be one on parabolas. Would, instead of want to know one of the form, it would want to know both. Okay, that's, in a strategies class, you'd just ask one. Or in our class, I'd ask you to be able to explain that you knew the vertex of a parabola. So there'll be a question like this. I'll show you what the questions will be on here shortly. But anyway, in this instance, the vertex would be HK. And you have to take the opposite of H and K as it is. So you might write something like this. To find the vertex of a parabola, if an equation is in parabolic form, you use the formula HK. And so what you do here is you just plug your numbers in. A is 1, B is -1, C is -12. So if you're going to look at the x value of the vertex and you're going to do negative b over 2a, so you're going to do the negative of -1 over 2 times 1, that would be 1/2. So the x value of your vertex is 1/2. Okay, over here, here is our answer, and so now I need to take that answer and plug it into the equation to find the y value. So if I say 1/2 squared minus 1/2 minus 12, and you'll get the y value. So the y value is whatever this is. So 1/2 squared. Then I just want to take a calculator, and I want to calculate 1/2 squared minus 1/2 minus 12. So 1/2, I'll do that for 0.5 squared minus 0.5 minus 12. And I find out that that's -12.25. So based on that information, I know that this vertex would be at 1/2 and then down 12.5. so these are the coordinates of the, okay, this is a parabola that opens up. So if it goes down, 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 when it goes down there, what does it do? What does a parabola do when it goes down there real far to the vertex, and then what's it going to do? It's going to turn, right? So that vertex, these are the coordinates of the minimum value. If you used a phrase like that, I would know that you knew how to find the x value, the vertex, or the y value of the vertex. But you knew that what you were looking for was that lowest point. And so that's the kind of thing that you're looking for when it asks for an explanation. See, B, is the vertex a minimum or a maximum? I didn't write A, B, but I put that answer in there. You see, the other day when we did it, everybody wanted to list out A, comma, and then just answer that question. B, comma, and answer that question. Now, I know what the questions are, so I would know why you put this right here. It says, how do you know that it's a maximum or a minimum? Since a parabola opens up, when does a parabola open up? When A is, when this number right here is what kind of number it opens up? Odd? Not odd. Positive. So, you know, it's up positive, it opens up. So, these are the minimum value since a parabola opens up with a positive A. You with me? This is the lowest point. So if you were asked to graph that, and it says, what are the zeros? So I need a new sheet here. If I wanted to talk about the zeros, okay, the zeros of a quadratic equation, if you used a phrase like that, I know you know what's going on here. I know you know this is different than a linear equation. So you use terms like that. The zeros of a quadratic equation. Can be found by taking the equation and sending it up equal to 0. So I'm going to, you finish that. I'm going to take this equation, x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. If you want to find a 0, if you want to find, look, these points right here, these points where this thing crosses the x-axis. How do I know it crosses the x-axis? Because the vertex is down here below the x-axis. And again, which way does it open? It opens up. So I know those things right there are called the zeros. What's another word we use? Roots. What's another word? Solutions. So use terms like that. Zeros, roots, solutions. I bet y'all know one even better than that. Something where it crosses the x-axis is called the point where a line crosses the y-axis is the y-intercept. X-intercept. So look, if you used x-intercept, hey, I gotta feel pretty comfortable with you know what's going on right there. So to find the x-intercepts, x minus 4 times x plus 3 equals 0. They are x equals 4 and x equals negative 3. So, if I find f of 4, it doesn't ask you to do it. Now, where does it say find f of 4? But what you know is this. You know if you take f of 4 and plug it in and go, what was the equation? 4 squared minus 4 minus 12, what does that give you? That gives you 16 minus 16. F of 4 equals 0. Since 4 is the number that you plug in and get out 0, that means 4 is a 0. What else is it called? A root, a solution, an x-intercept, whatever. And that's what you do here. It says, explain how zeros can be found without graphing. Okay, look, I did that. Here's with graphing, here's without graphing. These points are zeros. A parabola crosses the x-axis are zeros. So now, if I came through, if I read this and saw where you had mentioned a quadratic equation, or you mentioned factor of 12 whose sum is what, -1? If I saw this, you put an arrow right there or something, you're describing it. Don't just solve it out. Describe what it is that you know that makes you be able to solve this problem. You're not just kicks and giggles, just trying things, regardless of what it is. Even if it's a linear equation, and you don't feel all real comfortable about making sure your answer is right, take your answer, plug it back in, and I checked this answer by plugging it back into the original problem. See, that's what I did here. Find f of -3. Based on that picture right there, if x is -3, what's y going to be? 0. So I showed that that's true. -3 squared minus a -3. What is this? Minus 12. So that's 9 plus 12 minus 12, 0. And so I know that if this right here were x squared plus 7x minus 12, you'd still get it right. What I want to do is I want to read your explanation and know that somebody could take your explanation and feel good about solving any of these. So, because then I know that you know how to solve it regardless of what the problem is. And so now, instead of A, B, C, D, instead of listing out A, B, C, D, come in here and explain A, B, C, D as you go through the problem, and use A, B, C, D as a roadmap, sort of, to take you to the right answer. Not necessarily as how you find the right answer.
How do you know the vertexes and
Okay. If the parabola opens up, okay, what's happened? It's gone down, 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 down. It got to the lowest point and then turned up. So A was positive.
Mm-hmm.
If A was negative, then the parabola would go up, 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 up.
Oh, okay.
They'd go up, 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 and then they'd get her up there, and it'd turn down. It would be like the path of a rocket or something. The path of a basketball. If I shoot a basketball, it goes up. It goes up for a distance, and it gets to there's a point out there where it's not going any higher. And it comes back down. The way to show that in an equation is to make that leading coefficient negative. You make the number out in front of a variable. So in A times X, that's part of that parent graph stuff. You know, a parent graph is a parabola. So if I want to take this parabola and I want to move it around, if I want it to open up or down, I change that guy to positive or negative. If I want to move it, if I want to move it right, that's a -3. If I want to move it left, that's a +3. That's strange now. Y equals A times X minus 3 squared. I know it looks like that. -3 would move it, but it doesn't. It moves it. Right 3 is right 3 can be. If I want to graph Y equals whatever, X plus 4 squared. You gotta know this, and you gotta be able to show that somewhere in this discussion if it were in a different form. this doesn't really fit for this question because it's not in the standard form of a parabola. But then I would want to make sure I mention that minus 3 goes right 3, and a positive 4 goes left 4. And if you don't feel comfortable about that concept, go there on our webpage. About halfway down it says graph calculator, online calculator. Click on that and choose the graph one, and there's where you make a few of them. And like literally make a few, just make up equations. Y equals x squared, x minus 3 squared. Y equals x squared plus 4. And see what's happening to them as it moves along.
So does that mean that for this like equation would that be maximum?
Well, that would be a minimum. In this problem, answer says answer to the following questions, graph number 1. Are we reading the same place? Okay, that would be a minimum. Minimum is the lowest. The lowest point it goes is down here. So that means down here is as low as it goes.
Okay.
Okay? And so if the parabola opened the other way, if the parabola had a negative leading coefficient, okay, this would be as high as it would go up here. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so what I didn't do right there is I didn't go A, B, C, D and answer them like that, although I addressed all of those issues in my explanation. And that's what I wish we had done.